So what you guys see here is an in-progress fixing / restoration of a 1983 Sony Betamax SL-5200. This is the very first HiFi stereo VCR of any format ever made, and it's been on my wish list for a while. Now when I got it, most of the belts were fine. Only one was broken. I replaced that. It was a loading motor belt, but the rest of the belts are not stretched, they're not cracked, and they're not misshapen. So I used rubber rejuve on it and cleaned them up, as well as the pulleys. And the most common fault with these would be the Sanyo capacitors in the servo circuits. And I have an SL-5000. I actually need to do that too, and I'm going to do that actually right after this one. But that said, the caps are already changed in this, and it actually worked fine as is. I just tweaked the servo pots ever so slightly. The only other problem I ran into, let me back up. I had to lubricate everything. I had to put a drop of oil on the bottom of this worm gear where it rides. It was the original grease and stuff in there, which to take it apart would have been a mess. So you just put a drop of oil in, it'll kind of rejuvenate the grease that's there. This was seized up, but now it's working fine. Not the motor, but on the bottom of the worm gear there, that's fine. Everything's been relubed. Everything's been cleaned. What else happened? Oh, if you ever get one of these and you hear when it's loading, it might be really noisy. It might sound like a plastic on plastic screeching sound, like something needs lubricant. You need to just put a drop of oil on top of pretty much every pulley you see, spindle. It was one of these for the loading mechanism that was dry, and I put the one drop of oil on and it fixed the problem. This is the new belt I put on. The other belts, as you can see, are original and they are perfectly fine. You'll see it's operational. It is very quiet. It makes a really cool whirring noise when it loads, now that it's properly lubricated. To say, this machine worked fine, except I started having hi-fi issues. So I watched, I did order the service manual for this. I watched 12-volt video on this model, and needless to say, I had exactly the same symptom, exactly the same problem as he did. There's a little voltage regulator down there, Q308. As you can see, it's not present. Yeah, I pulled mine out and tested it, and I also have this China Pride tester, but it seems to work rather well. It thinks it's a resistor. I tested it with my ohm meter, and it's shorted in all directions, so it's bad. So I got some replacement transistors. It's just an NPN, and I didn't have any in stock. I mean, you can pretty much use any NPN with same or better power rating, but I just actually went and got the original for dirt cheap. In fact, I got like 5 of them. Oh, and I'm going off topic, but one more thing. The original pinch roller is the only rubber piece that failed, as you can see by these horrible cracks in it. They have been causing some audio instability when it's playing back. I was able to go on eBay and get an aftermarket replacement. Yeah, you can still find parts if you look, though it is getting rather hard to find. So basically, when you order a pinch roller, you just use a caliper or something, take measurements. This was 16 by 19 by I think, what was it, 3 millimeter? 3 millimeter being the shaft. And I got 2 of them because I said I'm going to do the SL-5000 next. Now, back to the transistor. It's a D773. Yeah, I just found the data sheet for it to figure it out. But yeah, the voltages were all wrong. And I was working without a service manual so far. HiFi is on. I can turn it off and it works both ways. Now I can adjust my. That makes me feel good that was what the problem was, and that was a real easy fix. And I was able to. I assumed that may have been the problem tracing it out before, and I did a Google search, and 12-volt vids did a thing on this. I'm like, hey, what do you know? Tested it, and bam, that was the problem. It's a good feeling when things just work out like that. Okay, I am back with some tapes. And first we'll try a linear audio Beta 3 tape. Now that it's fixed. That's okay, it just landed right there. This was recorded in 1990. It was the first new episode with the Borg on Star Trek: The Next Generation. Just listen how this thing loads now. It's so nice. Oh yeah, and here's the new pinch roller right there. So that's all you should hear when that loads, is that cool whirring noise. If it makes any other noise, you need to add lubrication to it. So hit play. Let's see where we're at. Okay, tracking. And as I mentioned, I did nothing to the servo circuits. It doesn't have any Sanyo caps in it. On 12-volt vids, they replaced them with tantalums, but this may have been serviced in the past. But as you see, it works just fine. There's the meter all bouncing. Tape counter is moving. But I also show, like, going through different speeds, it does not lose any sync at all. See, this is fast forward. That's, you know, that's typical right there on these older ones right there. Back up. And then it locks right in. Here's pause, unpause, and meters are bouncing. Also, let's check what the linear audio is doing.
Like a living cell. How long would it take to execute that?
That's the problem, 2 to 3 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks, nanites may be all that's left of the Federation.
We have the new phaser adapters.
Maybe in concert with the photon torpedoes we can start.
The audio now is perfectly stable. Before, it had a lot of flutter in it from that bad pinch roller. I'm still using the original flat belt on it because it's not stretched, it's not misshapen, it just works.
I know how difficult this transition's been for all of you. I can take over this.
See if I tweak that a little bit.
Whatever the outcome,
Pittsburgh.
I'm sure our efforts in the coming battle will justify his faith in all of us.
Put it middle. See, I only had to turn this ever so slightly, like off center, to get it to track. This was recorded on a 1988 Sony Super Beta SL-5200. It's a low-end machine, and I have to do a video on that, but it needs major repair work. It was my parents' originally.
Come.
Another thing I already did the control head, audio head alignment on this because it was a little muffled, and I got dialed in precisely. It's loud and clear and everything. So now I'm gonna hit. Oh yeah, there's also a X2 speed on here. I actually have to deoxit this switch here. It's a little flaky. Come on. There we go. Now it's latched on. It keeps bouncing. I think there's an adjustment for that so there's no tracking errors. Again, waiting in the service manual for that. Come on. See, now I can't get it to come off. I'm going to deoxit all these up front. So, here's stop. I'm going to press this in so I don't listen to noise. Here's eject. Nice and smooth eject. Okay, now we're going to test HiFi tape. This was my tape originally. Parents bought it brand new, I think back in '85. And again, key to tape longevity is proper storage. And these still play perfectly almost 40 years later. This is, of course, going to be Beta 2. How's that? So, here we go. Perfect. Now, let's see. Does its HiFi work? The HiFi light is not on. That is not a good sign. The picture's perfect. We don't have any HiFi. We're just seeing linear audio. So one problem is solved. It was not going into HiFi, and there were other problems, mainly like the levels that were messed up. So now I got more troubleshooting to do. I know there was one other transistor he did in his video that was causing similar problems, but I don't think that's the same in this case. I'm gonna probably wait on my service manual to get in so I can properly troubleshoot it, trace everything out. The problem is all on these HiFi boards here. I fixed one problem, now I got another troubleshoot. Yeah, it locks right in. Nice and stable. Nice response on the linear track, at least. Beta scan forward. And this is just a 2-head VCR. I mean, just 2 heads. There's Beta is able to do HiFi with just the same 2 heads as the video, and it doesn't need a bunch of extra heads. But I'll get into more of the technical details later once we troubleshoot this machine. But hey, I feel good at least one problem is resolved. Now we have another to look at. Well, some time has passed, and now it's become the time to put it back together. This is how easy this thing is. I mean, these were meant to be serviced, and everything's on hinges, and you can flip up. Now, this is the servo board where all those caps would have been, but they're all been changed, so it all works, no problem. And when you're done, there's screws that actually go in here. But the top one here, I'll try to do this one-handed. Little tabs, come on. And I actually got to disconnect it from the TV here. And then it wants to come down. Didn't have to do anything else. Everything's as it should be. And underneath I didn't change any belts. They're still fine, and everything's properly lubricated. And after running it for several hours now, it works beautifully, no complaints. This is the take-up reel and loading motor, capstan motor. Attached to this flywheel, the speed sensor, and there's the head. It does still have the pulley on it, because on the other models, the head drum motor would also drive the reel table. This one, a little different because it's hi-fi, needed extra speed stability and stuff. So since then, I'll just go over what's going on here. Tape path has been fully cleaned. This has the 710 chassis. Right? There is a cooling fan that goes on here. I'm actually cleaning it now in the ultrasonic. That said, I did the tape guides adjustment for the RF envelope. Had the scope hooked up right here. I'm not gonna, there's nothing I need to adjust it. I already have it in place. And then did the audio and control track head and put Loctite on it so it don't move. But yeah, loudest and clearest audio, real easy to do, all while watching that RF envelope as well. And it's perfect. The pinch roller, yeah, that's the only rubber part that actually went bad in this unit. So in this cup here are all the pieces I had to replace. This rubber belt was broken when I got it, but it's otherwise not cracked or anything. Really odd. That's been replaced. There's the original pinch roller, but it's full of cracks, and it's causing some speed instability. So that's gotta go. And that transistor right there. Now what happened, my HiFi wasn't working at all. It's actually this transistor here, Q308. And it's a voltage regulator coming into the board. And while I was having these problems and waiting on the service manuals, which I will show, I watched 12 volt video on his SL-5200. And that's when I looked at what he did and took my readings, and sure enough, that transistor was bad. Got a new transistor put in, it fires right up, except I had one more problem, and that took a while to trace out. And it turned out, it always seems like the problems that take the longest to find are some of the easiest and sometimes stupidest reasons. I'll flip this board back down and see if I can get it down and lift up. It's a little tricky to do one-handed. So whenever I played back at HiFi tape, a known HiFi tape, HiFi was not turning on. So all I got was linear audio. While looking into this, I traced what turns on the HiFi system when a HiFi tape is played to this transistor right here. And I think originally I dismissed it because the voltages were fine. It was actually switching 12 volts DC on when HiFi was detected, but nothing else worked. And tracing out, it would be this these wires right here. The third one from the right is your playback 12 volts when HiFi is detected. And I did is traced out the board from that transistor here, where my middle finger is, down to that wire, and it's supposed to be a direct connection. I got nothing. Yeah, all that troubleshooting, and it was a stupid bad solder joint. Also, I don't know the history on this unit. I wonder if this came from a repair shop and that was the problem back then. I don't know. Somebody's been in here before because some of the screws on the bottom are in the go. They, you know, they bite in the plastic. They were stripped, so I used the other set of holes to hold it. But somebody's been in here multiple times. Who knows? But who knows what some of these repair techs did? I mean, it's just like automotive technicians. You can't. A lot of them you can't trust. You know, they just want to get the, you know, if it takes, I don't know, it's one of those stupid things. Anyways, easy fix. Just took some time to troubleshoot. So, HiFi works. I did a HiFi test, playback and record. It works beautifully. But again, this is a first gen, and they're just still getting things, you know, set up. Which also leads me to believe why this big VCR with the 710 chassis was used as late as 1983. It probably began development on HiFi, and it was just more economical to continue with this older chassis, and it would, in essence, be a cheaper price, or wouldn't be as expensive, I should say. I mean, because this is really a no-thrills machine with HiFi. And that's kind of why. I believe that's why they did that, you know, is to keep the cost down. We'll give you HiFi. It was a very, very expensive option at the time. Or it could have been leftover chassis. I don't know. Just one of those things. But after watching 12-volt vids video, it's a lot of stuff you can read in technical manuals, but hearing it from an actual guy that worked on this equipment, it's see, I was born 1 year before this was made, so, and a lot of stuff I enjoy is well before my time. I read about things, I learn about things, and able to do it, but sometimes you got to listen to some people's experiences, or, you know, they actually worked for Sony like he did, and he even put a description in, you know. And he's right. This 710 tape transport is probably Sony's best Betamax transport. But you see the problem, it's very complicated, and it takes up a lot of real estate. So yeah, it's the best design. It's a very stable transport. I mean, let me put it this way. You have an older television from the 70s, before VCRs became a thing, and you'd always have the time base issue with the video flagging at the top of the screen. Sometimes horizontal hold would fix that. Well, I have that 1980 Zenith video director, which is a clone of the SL-5200, and I'll tell you what, it doesn't do any of that. The picture is so steady on that TV. You don't even notice any jitter, nothing. This was a very good design. It's just, it takes up a lot of real estate, and it's very expensive, especially how he described it's a 3-piece head design, where this middle part, it's probably focusing on the wrong thing, but the middle part rotates and the other two are stationary. So yeah, it was just a matter of making things more compact and more economical. But, you know, that's why I enjoy this stuff. You get the experience from it all angles. The recording I did earlier, and I hate to keep referencing, but I really enjoy this guy's videos. He said the picture quality on this is like comparable to a Super Beta machine, and he's right. The picture quality on these units with this tape transport is fantastic. And if you notice, it still uses the same thing as the SL-5000, which I do own. It was the first front loader of any format. It uses this 2-piece design to open, and I shall show later. My SL-5000 and other 5200s have that thing that pops up that says cassette is inside. This doesn't have that. It has 2 red bars that pop up. So this is a slightly different revision or something. All right. So at this point in time, I'm going to continue putting it back together. I was waiting to clean that cooling fan so I can put the RF shield, EMI shield, anything back on, because I did notice something over here is causing interference, If in the VCR's current position, I had a weird rainbow pattern moving on the screen. And I thought something was wrong, but I rotated the machine 90 degrees and went away. Yeah, without this shielding on, it causes a lot of problems. So I'm going to actually clean this shield first, put that back together, get the rest of the machine back together. Oh, and I got so many accessories too. I'll show that in a minute. So let's go get that fan. All right, cooling fan about ready to be reinstalled. Freshly cleaned. It was rather dirty, so it has obviously quite a few hours of use on it. Okay, cooling fan reinstalled. Normal threads. It threads clockwise. Just hold the middle section that rotates on the head and do that, and bam, it's on. Now let's get the cover back on, or this back down and the cover back on over to HiFi audio section. But that's one thing I will say about this, because it being a first design, everything is pretty much discrete components, and it's beautiful. And you can tweak everything, and I do have the service manuals, which I will show shortly. Another thing they omitted on later machines that is, I feel, a very necessary feature that definitely would prevent tape damage on anything, no matter what format, is a tape slack sensor. Instead of relying on the Hall effect sensor on the spindle down below, I mean, as soon as that tape, you know, if something goes wrong and it's not taken up and this gets sucked in, bam, it trips it. And no damage done near tape, and the only thing you can do on this machine is eject the tape after the second try. In the back of the unit, you have your audio out, and this actually went to the RCA jacks. This RCA jack here is a Multiplex Out. This VCR is before MTS stereo was a thing. So you would hook that to an external decoder to get your TV sound. So that's what that's all about. It was future-proofed, basically. And your typical twin lead, and VHF in, out, and your RF modulator. But in the front, it has the 2X playback, X2, beta scan, your RF modulator, record level, and you also have manual level control. Down below still has camera pause. Aux audio is, you would use that to enable it on the line in, but also observe I have it turned on and still see the tuner. It doesn't go in the video in until you plug something into it. So they use this for simulcast recordings using an FM tuner into the machine to get your stereo sound, since this was before MTS stereo existed. Headphones at a preset level. You have a 4-digit tape counter. And this is a slightly different revision than others I've seen. This one has 2 bars that pop up, plastic tabs, I should say, that are orange instead of popping up and saying cassette is in, like the SL-5000, which I will show briefly because that's the next machine I want to restore. Your Beta HiFi indicator, stereo, select which track it's on, remote sensor, record lamp, your clock, varactor diode tuning, and then on here, Beta 1, or sorry, Beta 2, Beta 3, and playback Beta 1 and tracking. Have a video coming out soon about Betamax facts, because there's a lot of misinformation recently that has been mentioned online. And I'll just say up front real fast, picture quality difference between Beta 1 and Beta 2, there's no difference. You just, Beta 1, you had no guard bands on the video, so it tracked near perfect no matter where you put the tracking, and you had better linear audio. But even on Beta 2, the linear audio was equivalent to what VHS could do on standard play, which is at a higher linear speed. So you're not gaining anything. Just if you put on Beta 1, better linear audio. And then comes HiFi. But also remember, before this, even my 1980 SL-5800 clone Zenith has a PCM input. These could do digital PCM recording on the video tracks. So that was a bigger thing. I know Tecmo did a video on a VHS one, but those weren't very common. Beta was used a lot more for that. So for now, let me slide it into position, and I'm going to show you something. I did get the original remote off eBay. It's a rather basic remote, but it has aluminum front. This was new old stock. It was still in its original bag, which is right there. And, you know, it has the light up thing Sony's always did, as well as the drop down. And you have to press two record buttons at the same time. It's just extra protection for that. Operations manual. And about how the Beta HiFi system works. That's pretty much it. It's kind of sandwiched right in between the chrome and aluminance. And that's why Beta only needed one to use the video heads for the audio FM track, whereas VHS had to record over top of the video to get it. So yeah, this is only a 2-head machine, and it is HiFi. And there's your frequencies for it. This goes into great detail explaining how the HiFi system works since it's brand new. The adjustment manual, I did need that to adjust a few things. And the service manual, here's some of the specs, including what I was saying, Beta 2, 10,000 hertz. That's the same as VHS, and that was at the slower speed. But yeah, a lot of misinformation out there about Beta. And there's also, I'll get into in my other video, why I'm not doing a direct hookup to demonstrate this, because you're just just lose it through YouTube because of all the processing and going from interlace to progressive scan and interpolating it to higher resolution. It's just gonna look like crap. Any source, including like video games, or the video games, it's gonna look like crap. Just like hooking a standard def thing to a high def TV, same thing. So instead, I have a little special thing here to start with. I got the original HiFi demonstration tape, copyright 1982. This is what was used on this very machine. I got it off eBay. I haven't even played it yet, so let's see what's involved. Okay, so now we're gonna play the HiFi demonstration tape. Haven't watched it yet, although it may have to end up being edited if there's copyrighted material for short bursts on there. But we'll see what happens here. Insert tape. And you can see the little bars that pop up right there. Yeah, they really went all out with the first front-loading design. And also observe the peak level meter on here matches the peak level meter on the symphonic there. And of course being played through this. Tracking in the middle. Okay, here we go.
Sound has a look all its own, but it never looked like much on a home video cassette recorder because it never sounded like much until now. Introducing the biggest breakthrough in home video since the home VCR, Beta HiFi. A VCR that, hooked up to your stereo system, transforms the home video experience into the home theater experience and is fully compatible with all existing Beta tapes. There's an incredible technological story behind it, but to really appreciate Beta Hi-Fi, just sit back, relax, and open your eyes and ears to a new world of home entertainment. Beta Hi-Fi. The theater experience hits home.
And that's it. Stop. Go into rewind. And now to finish up this video, I did do a recording on Beta 2 Hi-Fi On. I'll probably show it in short bursts just for copyright reasons. But I'll step through some of the search functions and so forth. Recorded using the line inputs on the front. I have aux audio turned on, so it just mutes the tuner. Tuner does work beautifully. In fact, I had my Sencore tester hooked up to it. I'll walk through all the channel buttons, and they're all as they were from the factory. I'm going to be 38 years ago. So tuner works beautifully. Everything works beautifully on this deck now. And got the remote. So now we'll just go in the playback.
Why are you redecorating your place? Or should I say, why are we...
And we go in the pause. And like I said, this is a two-head unit. I know what they did. This is an older chassis they used right in development for Hi-Fi. Because as you know, right after this, some of the best Beta machines came after this. It's just, this was the first hi-fi machine. It's also the same, you know, front loader as the SL-5000, which is also the first front loader they had. So, and
Cleo thinks the place needs fixing.
I'll pause it again. Now, what's I love about Sony Betas is up until I think after the 711B chassis, they were all solenoid based. This has 3 huge solenoids in it. The 711B, or actually I shouldn't say it, 711 on, before they went to the rotary encoder, all had 1 solenoid in it. But these solenoid-driven chassis are the best because, look, I can go play, stop, pause, play, but also the best one is going into reverse search instantly. Instant back to play.
Why are you redecorating it?
Forward search. Just like that.
Okay.
And instant stop. Here, so hit play. Go back into play. And one other thing this thing does interesting is X2, which is, you know, ×2 playback, no biggie, but being the first hi-fi deck, they actually left the hi-fi audio on to listen to on purpose. It even says so in the manual to do this. Of course, ones after this they dropped because you can't track it perfectly. And, of course, when you can't track it perfectly, you're going to get the noise in the audio. But this is an example.
Lose the...
See what I mean?
What's up, Cleo?
A little bit of buzzing. But, again, there's nothing wrong with the unit. It's just how they featured it. You know, this is the first HiFi VCR. And it just developed from there. And I still call this the tank. And... like watching other videos, the 710 chassis is probably, you know, of course, because of cost and the real estate. Look, I mean, I know this machine takes up a lot of real estate. It's a big machine, but to make it more compact, they had to get rid of the 3-piece head drum and as well as other things. Hence comes the 711 chassis. But the original 710 chassis is a beast, especially for playing regular beta, non-super beta. It's probably like the best you can get. I mean, this regular beta machine probably produces the sharpness of a super beta machine. That's how good it is. I mean, this DVD copy I made is almost identical to that of the DVD. And this looks great. Over the past year, Technology Connections released some videos on the beta format with, I hate to say it, a lot of misinformation. And his demonstration of the standard VHS versus standard beta was completely flawed. There's a reason why I don't do direct hookups to video, because you're going to immediately lose the quality. First of all, going from interlaced to progressive scan, you already lost half the resolution there. This looks soft. And then trying to interpolate it, upscale it, makes it look even worse. People say, ooh, it's been upscaled to HD. That doesn't mean shit, okay? It's just like taking a standard def thing, anything, DVD, old video game systems, and playing it on a modern television like this. Well, this isn't modern. This is 12 years old. But I'm just saying, you can't do that. Digital has to work within its native resolution to get the best quality. And same with audio. I have the original vinyl pressing and the original CD pressing of Back to the Future soundtrack. I tried to do a comparison for a video. In person, there was a drastic difference. The vinyl obviously blew the CD away. It sounded much better. I put on YouTube and they sounded exactly the same. So that's also why I don't bother doing direct hookups, because it negates everything. Plus, he was using a DVD recorder and MPEG-2 compression and who knows what else, and noise filtering, it came out to where Beta was ever so slightly better, but you couldn't tell. The real place where it shined was on Beta 3. It outperformed, definitely outperformed VHS. But in person, if you play on on a real TV and side by side, yeah. I mean, this right here is very sharp, very clear. If I were to take a standard VHS and hook it up, even VHS HQ, it does not look like this. Original VHS was rather poor. VHS HQ boosted the lines of resolution up to 250. He never mentioned Super Beta, which boosted it up to 290 horizontal lines. And broadcast television is only 300 to 330 lines. So Super Beta, not to be confused with Super VHS, is almost as good as broadcast TV, minus the chroma resolution, mind you. All consumer analog formats were always 30 lines for chroma. Chroma is always poor. That's why you need a professional, system like Betacam, which uses the small tapes are the same as a Betamax consumer unit, but it records in component rather than composite on the head. The head drum, everything's different. It runs at 3 times the speed as Beta 1. And if I didn't mention before, Beta 1 playback, Beta 1 and Beta 2, which Beta 2 became the standard speed, he also mentioned Beta 1 had better quality. It actually didn't. Beta 1 and Beta 2 look identical. And I believe it, because this is a near perfect copy of a DVD. I know it's hard to tell. That's one of the reasons, like trying to do it on camera, it's very hard to tell. But you see how sharp it is on camera, even though my camera keeps flickering. You get the idea. So really the only thing that happened, Beta 1, when I get into my next video, I explain. Beta 1, the 1 hour tape, that was because of U-matic. This Betamax is loosely based on U-matic. All right. Including the loading pattern, which I'll get into in my next video. But the only difference between Beta 1 and Beta 2, Beta 1 doesn't use any guard bands on the video. It tracks near perfect. There wasn't really a need for tracking control. And Beta 1 gave better linear audio. But the funny thing is, Beta 2's linear audio is equivalent to VHS's linear audio of about 10,000 hertz. Even though VHS's linear speed is much higher on standard play. And extended play is so slow, it sounds like pure crap. That's why, but I have a long rant ahead in my next video. So I'll stop there, leave you with that, and I'll get the facts straight about the Beta format. And hopefully in the next few weeks, expect to see that Sony Trinitron. This will be in its place, as well as a couple other goodies I've gotten, also videotape related and very old. I don't think, so stay tuned soon. I'm going to be showing the 1/2-inch VTR EI-AJ black and white video recorder, the AV3650. We picked up for a steal. I don't think, other than a couple videos here and there, I'm going to go in depth on that and how to get it going, as well as baking the tapes, etc. But yeah, Sony, when I was growing up, I was all about Sony because of the Betamax format. And, they had the Trinitron. They, along with Philips, did the compact cassette and the audio CD. Then you had the, from 1965, even though it was a skip-filled recorder, the 1/2-inch VTR for consumer/industrial use. And then U-matic, and then Beta. Then they had Video 8. And then, right now, Blu-ray. I mean, this was just, marketing, and because these were more expensive. But it's like people today showing their made in China pride. Why? I just wish they could have left VHS for Joe Schmo and left Beta for the serious user. Coexisted along with like Video 8 did with VHS. Sounds great, doesn't it? "38 years old." I just don't want to leave it too long because I don't know if I'll get bapped of copyright or not. But yeah, this was recorded with automatic level control turned on. And yes, you could disable Beta Hi-Fi on recording. And yeah, the audio monitor switch has a nice big red record lamp. And it's nice. Just very nice. So in that case, thanks for watching. And hit like and subscribe.